everyone, I'm Stephanie Cloje, and I'm here at Itron Inspire in San Antonio, and I'm sitting here with Dan Pfeiffer, VP of Government and Regulatory Affairs at Itron. Dan, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Glad to be here.
Can you maybe just tell me a little bit about yourself and your role at Itron?
Well, I've been at Itron. I just entered my 19th year.
Congratulations.
And I got to Itron from the Washington Water Power Company that started Itron back in the mid-'70s. So this place is kind of in my blood. In between, I was at the Idaho Utilities Commission, so I worked for a regulator. So good perspective. So what I do at Itron, I cover most of my work is around investor-owned utilities regulators. So not our regulators directly, but the commissions that decide what's an appropriate cost, including our stuff, that goes into a rate base. That's probably half my time, and then I spend the other half on domestic policy coming out of D.C. and a little bit of international work where there's a U.S. nexus, so some U.S. aid funding or we need some advocacy for a project. So.
Okay, great. That's great. It's important work.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the IIJA and how it's really helping utilities meet their grid infrastructure goals. Obviously, there's lots of investment here. So having worked on both bills, what is the main difference between the ARRA and the IIJA?
Yeah, so just so people have context, it seems like every 12 years we have some big stimulus thing. So the last one in 2009 was the ARRA, and of course now the infrastructure bill. And so I actually gave this in a presentation to our board so that I brought that so I wouldn't forget. So one, the infrastructure bill was a lot bigger, $1.2 trillion versus ARRA was, a scrawny $780 million. Like,
Difference.
Yeah, the numbers have gotten so big. But last time, there was very much larger grants. So if we look at comparable programs, a lot of new programs that didn't have a comparable, but smart grid matching grants, apple to apple, they gave up to $200 million grants then, and now they're the max of $50 million. Oh, gosh. So this is part of the GRIP announcements that came out recently. So a lot more money, but they're spreading the peanut butter farther. And last time the focus was carbon reduction and jobs. This time around it was those things, but also environmental justice and equity and union jobs. Much bigger focus on union jobs than, which just reflects the Biden administration is closer to organized labor than the Obama administration. It's not a good or bad thing. Last time there was a certain amount of zip code diversity, meaning every state got a little bit. 49 states. I think Sarah Palin ensured that Alaska didn't get any ARRA money. This time around, high priority on underserved, disadvantaged communities, urban or rural. That's a high focus, much better score on your project if you're doing something in an underserved area. And this is very, very important. Last time it was a one-time appropriation. Now the spend on that money could have went out 5 years. This time, 5 years of appropriations, and the burn on that money could go out a decade. So this government shutdown could affect how fast that is implemented, but the fact that 5 years worth of appropriations, they're not going to be able to claw that back in reality. And then one big change is last time there was Buy America requirements, which comes with a certain domestic content. Last time the Obama administration used what they call a substantial transformation test. We don't care where components come from or subcomponents. If you do something substantial, and so I take circuit boards and resistors and capacitors, I turn into a smart meter. That is made in America.
You put the puzzle together here.
Yeah, the Biden administration is not using that same standard, and it will be very hard for anybody, not just Itron, anybody that makes an electronic product to qualify. The standard is 55% domestic content. And that's just on a bill of materials. So all the work we do on our factories, we probably have 1,000 jobs in 2 U.S. factories. None of that labor counts towards that 55% because of the way the math is. So that they don't count final assembly of products as towards that 55%. So we've been working with the administration trying to get some flexibility, which is predominantly going to be a project that needs a waiver. Somebody gets a grant. They've got synchrophasers in there that don't qualify and meters that don't qualify and something else. They'll get project waivers. The one thing we're still trying for is to get product waivers, like the Department of Transportation recently issued for EV chargers.
Sure.
We're trying to get the same with EMI, DI infrastructure. We have not been successful to date, but I'm pretty sure that the administration wants these benefits, the carbon benefits, the EV penetration, renewable integration. They want those, but they're going to do it one waiver at a time. Not going to make some broader policy like we had the last time.
Okay. Well, so you mentioned project and product, waivers. What are some other headwinds that you think are, impeding the implementation of this?
Well, we one of the headwinds we just had with commissioners is affordability. Even with commissions that support carbon reduction, their ethos is all about being least cost. A little different than their environmental agency brethren that's about least impact, regardless of cost. So just doing what we do in a way that addresses reliability and affordability on our way to sustainability, when you're dealing with an economic regulator who, by statute, is required to consider the least cost path forward, it's just a problem that we have to help our customers solve.
No, for sure. So how do state utility regulators view the IIJA and the IRA subsidies, do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, blue state, red state, forget their politics. If you can reduce the rate shock of a new deployment, you go get whatever you can.
Yeah.
Some utilities we found are maybe, if I'm not getting a $200 million grant, I'm not going to deal with the paperwork and the reporting and compliance that come when you take a check from the federal government. But regulators, they're the ones that have sometimes pushed their utilities. If you can get a $50 million subsidy on this project, you go.
Right.
Now, of course, you're just spreading the cost. The person that's a taxpayer is also a ratepayer.
Right.
But I would say most states have either have open dockets looking at federal subsidies, whether IRA or IIJA. And I know from that they have been encouraging their utilities to, go through the red tape and get whatever, because it's going to reduce. Now, the utilities, if to use the stimulus example, you get a $200 million federal subsidy on a $400 million project. What's going into your rate base that you're getting your authorized rate of return at 9.5–10% is only on 200. And that has been a little bit of a headwind. But I think most good utilities are going to listen to the regulator, and they, if you can try and get this, even a $50 million grant, you go do it.
Well, it's that affordability piece, right? And the reliability.
Yeah. Just reduce, the commissioners aren't responsible for tax rates. They are responsible for utility rates.
Indeed. So I have one other question for you. What are you looking forward to most while you're here at Itron Inspire? It's my first time here, so I'm curious. You've been here for 19 years. What are you most looking forward to?
Well, for me, it's great. It's networking. I see people at Itron I don't get to see anymore. We don't gather as much. So for me, and then to have products and solutions with a product manager right in front, it's an education as much for the government guys it is for our customers.
Right. That's great.
All right.
Well, I appreciate you spending some time with me, and I've learned a lot, and hopefully everyone else has as well.
All right. Fantastic. All right.